Hi, my name is Erin Lowe, and today I will be presenting Where Are Our Rights? The Repatriation of Mexican-American Citizens During the Great Depression. I have not been in this house since I was a child. I remember this. I had this journal until I was almost 11 years old. I did not have a chance to bring it with me when the men came. The last entry was when they were just outside. My family was in the fields working, as always. And I was only 10 years of age, but I still knew what the guns meant. Here's that entry from 1931. Dear Diary. Hello. My name is Alicia Ramon. The year is 1931, and I live in Los Angeles, California. Another group of officers rounded up some more people down the street, including my elderly neighbors. They were deported from the country, even though they're both legal American citizens just like me. They were told never to return because they looked Mexican, and the people rounding them up did not even bother to look at their papers, proving that they are legal American citizens. My neighbors were not even allowed to bring their things with them, or say goodbye to the people they love. The local authorities called it repatriation. You see, America is in a depression ever since the stock market crash in 1929. Many of the white American citizens believe that Mexicans are to blame for them not being able to find jobs. I'm not sure how that's fair. We are scapegoats. The people blamed when there is no one else to blame. The whites didn't want our jobs before this depression. You see, we're mostly second-class citizens working as maids, construction workers, or on farms for other people. During the 20s, many of us with Mexican ancestry were invited to come to the U.S. to work jobs because our labor was cheap. That is how my parents came to the U.S., and everything was okay for a while. But much legislation and many resolutions were recently introduced. The officials recognized their responsibility to protect their citizens. In 1930, Los Angeles County Supervisor John R. Quinn proposed a legislation that would rid the U.S. of illegal immigrants to secure the jobs of U.S.-born citizens. Then in January of 1931, a resolution was introduced in the Kansas Senate, petitioning Congress to act in preventing unnaturalized Mexicans from obtaining places of employment which should otherwise be given to citizens of the United States. Then other states started to develop similar legislation, and it has become common for people to just assume that all people of Mexican ancestry are here illegally. But the majority of us are here legally, as until recently it was fairly easy to cross the border into the U.S. because you only had to give minor information about yourself and pay a nickel in order to receive a visa. In past years, the border really was just a line in the dirt. You see, Congress did not impose the $8 head tax or require Mexican nationals to pass a literacy test until 1917. Before 1924, citizens from both sides of the border went both directions. Now, I never crossed the border because I was born here in the U.S. But I know the people rounding us up won't care. They'll march into our fields and home and force us out. Probably at gunpoint like the others. And then we'll get onto those big trains crammed with people until we're so far over the border that it's unlikely we will ever return. My parents told me that if the men came to our door, I should run. But I don't understand. There are soldiers entering the fields right now. And I know I should run, but my family's out there. And something tells me that if my parents get taken away, they won't come back for a long time. I'm going to do it. I'm going to run, but not away from my family. I don't want to be alone. Get me the Secretary of Labor. Hello, William Doak? Hoover here. What am I going to do? Thousands are out of work and thousands more are impoverished. There are few even low-paying jobs available. I've attempted a number of reforms, but almost none have been successful. The citizens and the labor unions are blaming me, but I did not cause this depression. They think it's my responsibility to carry them out of the depression heads high, but how? Maybe they're right. It is my responsibility, but what now? You have to get them off my back. Yes, good. No, I already tried that. No direct aid. They can't become reliant on it. Yes, I understand that the government has a responsibility to its citizens, and yes, Americans have rights to jobs that are rightfully theirs, but thousands of war veterans are still waiting just outside to claim bonuses that were promised them. And we cannot afford that at the moment. I already signed the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act. You know raising the rates on imports wasn't enough. Yes. I agree with you that removing aliens will reduce expenditures and free jobs for true Americans, but I am trusting you to do what is necessary. Provide assistance to local authorities? Yes, that too. I'm just trying to help my citizens. Honestly, I don't know what else to do. American jobs for real Americans. With the power of the U.S. Department of Labor, Hoover's endorsement, and federal assistance to local authorities, repatriation efforts began in earnest. More than 60% of the Mexicans deported were legal U.S. citizens. That's more than 1 million legal citizens being deported between 1929 and 1944. Now, throughout history, many people have been blamed for problems they did not cause. Ethnic discrimination has been a huge problem throughout American history, but one not so commonly found in textbooks. Americans today need to learn about this tragic event so that we don't repeat it. It's our responsibility to teach them. Now, in 2006, the state of California gave a formal apology. Senator Joseph Dunn was the author and the sponsor of the Apology Act for the 1930s Mexican Repatriation Program. It formally acknowledged the almost 2 million Mexicans that were deported and apologized to the 1.2 million of those that were legal U.S. citizens. But some of my people still ask themselves, did any of those non-Hispanic citizens stop and realize what they were doing to us? My family was split up and I never saw my sister again. We were taken to a place without food, shelter, electricity, fresh water, or good education. Repatriation did not even apply to us, since Mexico was not our country of origin. And it took years to come back, for those of us who could come back. Did any of those government officials notice that they were not only violating the Fourth Amendment, but that they were deporting thousands of legal American citizens, many of whom were born and raised in America as well? What happened to our constitutional rights? Our right to a fair trial, our right to work, our right to live in America legally? Due process? What happened to the government's responsibility to protect and defend us citizens? Many government officials did not encourage the movement per se, but instead turned the other direction, so to speak. The repatriation of Mexican-American citizens during the Great Depression was one of the most tragic events in American history. Have people forgotten that America was once created as a melting pot, containing residents from all over the world? Of course we need jobs and a stable economy, but sometimes there is no one else to blame. Sometimes we must work together instead of blaming each other. We are still America, but we must accept our responsibility as American citizens and show empathy, compassion, and acceptance towards others in order to prevent disasters like this from happening again in the future. Now, I believe that we can do this. but you need to as well. Si se puede. It can be done. Thank you.